This is Zekken, one of the star players for the Sentinels roster. This duelist/flex player has shown that he's one of the best players in the world. Since the start of Valorant, he's reigned over the North American ranked ladder by achieving rank 1 7 times. And in this video, we'll be going over 9 things that you can learn from the multi-rank #1 player, Zekken. A keystone principle that Zekken's playstyle perfectly encapsulates is his versatility, specifically his agent pool. Throughout his ranked grind, he's been able to take every role to Radiant on multiple accounts. On top of this, if we take a look at his agent stats on his main account, we can see he has numerous hours on almost the entire roster. He boasts a positive win rate on literally every agent that he's played. Even at the pro level, Zekken has to be one of the most flexible players. During the VCT Americas 2023, he played Raze, Sova, Skye, Jet, Omen, and Breach for his team. Playing a whopping 6 agents for his team when many pro-level players can only specialize in 1 or 2 agents, that's no easy feat. Now, attempting to mimic this unique characteristic, it'll usually not gain you much reward due to the sheer difficulty of learning multiple agents at such a high level. Sometimes they're just people who are built a little bit differently from us gaming mortals. However, an aspect of Zekken's versatile playstyle we can implement into our own game is how he adapts his shooting style to whatever weapon he's currently using. To get a clearer explanation of what we mean, take a look at these highlights.
Okay.
Okay.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Oh my god.
I got it.
Get up. Get up.
Bro,
Spike
what?
down B.
There. Cypher should be late unless you walked inside.
Hockey cage for you, Zach. Call for it.
30
Could've walked in
seconds
technically,
left.
I guess, right?
One
Oh yeah,
enemy
Zach, back to
remaining.
back.
Flashing your mid.
Could've walked through A, technically.
It was A.
These clips are pretty insane, but the key takeaway is to see how Zekken actively changes what type of shooting style he uses, depending on what weapon he's using and the type of fight he's taking. This is often referred to as Gunfight Hygiene. Let's break these clips down one by one. In this bind clip, whenever Zekken opts to shoot his gun, he takes a very calm approach with his gunfight hygiene by tapping at this slower and steady cadence. Even when he's fighting multiple people at once, he still maintains this steady form of shooting. In our 4 levels of pistol video, this was one of the tips we suggested to our student who was featured in the video. Whenever you start to shoot at a faster tempo than the one Zekken displayed in this clip, recoil starts to kick in, making the following bullets land off your crosshairs. Zekken also implements this calm and steady approach. In this bind clip, Zekken shows how he prioritizes shooting bursts with his Vandal while simultaneously incorporating movement into his gunplay, always ensuring that he's moving while waiting for the Vandal's recoil to reset. This is the quintessential shooting style all Vandal players must adopt to find success with the gun. Even when he misses his initial burst onto Psych, there's not a sense of panic. Instead, he just stops his bursts, strafes left to dodge Psych's oncoming bullets, then lands the second burst. But Zekken can immediately change his shooting style on the fly if needed, as shown in this split clip. Understanding that the Phantom is a much stronger weapon for medium to close range duels, Zekken is positioned in B heaven ready to fight any attackers who push through Mail. The enemy Jet and Sage peek together but get annihilated by Zekken's gross spray transfer. Rather than going for measured bursts and taps, he decides to spray knowing that the Phantom spray is pretty controllable at this range. Even after whiffing his initial shot onto the enemy Fade, he still commits to the Phantom spray because of how consistent it is at winning these types of close range engagements. And the following kills of Astra and Cypher are also results of using the Phantom's deadly spray. During your rank matches, always be conscious of what weapon you have and what type of duels you're taking. These factors will highly dictate what type of shooting style you need to use. Zekken's ability to adapt to a situation is second to none, especially when it comes to the clutch. Here's a clip of Zekken cooking these Radiant level players in a 1v5 clutch.
Player standing.
Yo, 120 Brim, 120 Jet, 120 everything. Oh.
Spike planted.
He's canteen running.
Got 3.
70 breach.
Placing swarm grenade. Swarm grenade out. One enemy remaining.
This crazy clutch, like most clutches, starts with the Jett overheating a bit too much and gives Zekken a free 1v1 duel to start his ace. The enemy Brimstone, recognizing that it's a 1v4 on match point, rips his ultimate onto Jhin to either flush out Zekken or to get some chip damage. Fortunately for Zekken, this orbital strike helps him because he knows none of the enemies can push him from Jhin unless they want to take damage. Using this to his advantage, he looks to the only pathway where an enemy can push him from, which is Canteen. Brimstone makes the same mistake as the Jett and peeks into Zekken, giving him another isolated 1v1, now making the situation a 1v3. After methodically clearing out all the angles behind Generator, he hears the enemy Fade make some noise Canteen with her footsteps and Prowler. With still plenty of time on the spike, he takes a second chance to peek Canteen and wins yet another isolated duel. With the situation now being a 1v2, he's no longer in dire straits. Zekken tosses down a turret to ensure no one's holding any of the immediate angles so he can give himself enough space to throw a molly towards slant, since this is a pretty common post-plant position. Once he's done clearing slant with his molly, he travels up by clearing this close Jhin angle. You can see how cautious his crosshair placement is during these peaks, even taking extra steps to clear even the off angles. Off the back of killing the breach, he preps for the enemy Killjoy to attempt to trade frag. How Zekken found this kill onto the Killjoy was not entirely luck, but rather the result of using context clues and game sense to make an educated guess. A common plan many higher level players make when a 2v1 situation is set up in a position where one person's playing tucked into a close corner that is perpendicular to where the enemy may come out of, while the second player is hiding behind cover whom can quickly peek out after their teammate makes contact with the enemy. Even though this setup gives a large advantage to the two individuals, if the timing of the peek from the trade fragger is a bit late, and if the enemy guesses correctly on where they'll be peeking from, it can lead to rounds like this. A huge aspect to being clutch is the ability to analyze context clues, to estimate what the enemy may do in hopes of creating isolated 1v1 duels. Keep this concept in your head the next time you are in a clutch situation. Tell me if this sounds like you. You watch all these aim guides telling you to dead zone and counter strafe and aim train, but nothing seems to fix your aim. You want to get aim like Zekken, but no matter what you do, nothing works. Chances are you're heavily overcomplicating the process, and that's where we come in. Our courses are designed to simplify the game into stupid simple terms, so anyone could start climbing. It's like if you were just given a checklist to start top fragging in Valorant. Wait, actually, it's exactly like that. Recently, we broke down players like Zekken's aim into a simple 6-step method that every player can follow to start dominating in their matches. Aimers like Zekken have spent thousands of hours perfecting their craft to get the point that they're at today. The problem is, most of you don't have that kind of time to get good at Valorant, and the game isn't exactly too much fun if you suck either. That's why we put in the time to simplify the game for you, so you can focus on the things that actually matter, and climb as fast as possible. Don't just take our word for it though, because we also offer a rank improvement guarantee. If you don't climb, you don't pay. This is our promise to you that our product really does work. Check it out using the link in the description below, and we'll see you there. Zekken is no stranger to isolating duels, as we saw during his clutch. Just take a look at this clip to see how he masterfully plays this backside position.
Pushing me backside.
Bot assist.
Nice.
Spike down A.
They're planning on your right.
One enemy remaining.
In many of the maps on Valorant, a common layout you'll notice is these areas with wide central pieces of cover, such as backside B on Ascent. Zekken fully utilizes these structures to help isolate duels. Throughout the entirety of this clip, you can see he swivels between the left and right sides of this hut. This process of peeking at the left and right side helps look for fights on his terms. The combination of the central cover being so wide, as well as the attackers not choosing to peek from the same angle, allows Zekken to have windows where he can fight without the stress of fighting more than one person at a time. If you ever find yourself in a position similar to this one, you can embrace this swiveling movement to farm highlights like this. Using cover is not the only way to disjoint attackers. In this Haven clip, Zekken and his team are defending against an execute on C side. After placing a smoke, he momentarily hides from the Sova arrow, but rather than peeking out to help his Cypher fight the attackers that pushed out of the smoke, he chooses to layer his smoke with a molly, even though some of the attackers are already past the choke point. The value that comes with this type of utility usage is being able to disjoint attackers from each other as they push into the site. Zekken could have mollied instantly to try and stop the push entirely, and this will usually result in the enemy team just waiting out the utility or choosing to fall back. However, using the molly after an attacker is past the choke point creates this sense of disconnect among the attackers, because now the attacker who's made it past the choke point is effectively isolated on site by themselves, while the rest of the team is stuck behind the molly. This conflict between one party wanting to continue the execute while the other party is behind a molly, it'll create hectic situations where the attackers aren't going to be on the same page. Perhaps the attacker who's past the choke point tells her team to push with them, forcing the late party to take a considerable amount of damage to follow through. Or the late party waits out the molly, successfully isolating the attackers who have already pushed through into a losing battle. Using utility to disjoint pushes helps create trap setups, and those can provide much more value than just trying to stop the execute from happening in the first place. Something we all forget while playing Valorant is that it's a game, and at the end of the day, it's about having fun, even if you're a professional.
A little bit of damage. I don't think getting it. Oh no! Zekken, how dare you?
Enough of that though. Let's take a look at how Zekken uses positioning to create deadly off angles. In this Haven clip, Zekken has the infamous judge and is hiding in this one and done angle at short A. At this level of play, almost every player is going to clear this left cubby since it's pretty easy to systematically peek at these close short A angles. However, Zekken uses this knowledge to his advantage by first hiding in this angle, and then whenever he hears Killjoy clear the opposite side cubby, he moves to his left slightly to create an off angle with the one and done angle he was previously in. As soon as the Killjoys finish clearing the right side, she peeks out to clear the left and eats a judge blast to the head. By hiding in the cubby first, he lets the Killjoy clear the left side off angles and the right cubby. Then he repositions to the off angle after the Killjoy has already passed, giving her a false sense that the only angle left to clear is the one and done. If he had played in this off angle in the first place, the Killjoy would have just seen him standing in the middle of the open much earlier. But if he chose to play tucked into the left cubby the entire time, she would have cleared him. By using both positions, he was able to set up a trap for the Killjoy that manipulates her crosshair placement. Try to bring this mastery of on angles and off angles into your games. A great off angle that you should incorporate into your gameplay is hiding on the outside of smokes. But if the enemy team uses a drone to clear you out, you have no way to escape. However, there's a tricky play that Zekken utilizes to get around this. Take a look at this clip.
Spike down A. One enemy remaining.
Last one I made, you heard of.
A strong play you can implement whenever there's a drone incoming and you're near a smoke is to push into the smoke as the drone passes by. If your timing is correct, you can sneak past the drone without it seeing you. Essentially, you're listening to the sound of the drone to guess when it's going to have to pass the smoke barrier. And in that brief moment, you pass by without being spotted. This little trick allowed Zekken to start his ace with a kill on Astra and Sky. Not only does it work with drone abilities, but people as well. Give this trick a shot the next time you are stuck next to a smoke. We all love taking duels whenever the enemies aren't looking at us. And to set ourselves up for more easy duels like these, knowing how to properly flank is the key. In this Haven match, Zekken creates a plan with his teammates to spam their weapons, while Zekken pushes up to hold A lobby. His Cypher gets 2 frags before getting traded by the enemy Sova. Due to Zekken's early round plan with his team, Zekken's already pushed up to A lobby. So, to capitalize on his forward positioning, he continues his flank to rotate to C side, rather than going back and rotating through the defender side of the map. Usually this type of play has an inherent risk because the enemy could have utility or a lurker holding the flanks, although this is usually the case. If we take a closer look, we can see that their sentinel had already died. Both Zekken and his jet realized this, so they don't waste a second to start their flank. It's always a good idea to pay attention to who's died on the enemy team to see if their usual lurk player or their flank holding utility might be disabled. Zekken and Jet fully sprint their way over to C long with full confidence. As they scale into C site, Zekken places a smoke and pulls out his orbital strike to see if there are any easy kills to be found. And while this is happening, his Jet dies to the enemy Reyna. But this actually works in Zekken's favor because he can use this death as a trap. Zekken purposely doesn't instantly attempt a trade frag, knowing that the enemy Reyna is likely holding for it. Once Reyna realizes that she's not getting instantly peeked for a trade frag, she lets her guard down and directs her attention towards other angles. This momentary pause before peeking out creates a sense of security for Reyna that there's probably not another defender flanking from C long. After doing a bit of gun juggling, Zekken opts the Reyna and the retake is secured. This round was a masterclass on how to flank, because Zekken had followed two important principles. Prioritize flanking whenever their lurker or sentinel is dead, and 2, creating a false sense of security by not attempting to trade frag instantly. Zekken's ability to adapt to almost any situation is something not all of us can copy overnight, but we can take bits and pieces to slowly adopt the playstyle. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little bit more about SkillCapped. So we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing that you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered you that. Not us. We've offered this for years, because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium Valorant guides on the internet. We add new courses every month with over 1,000 guides curated into over 50 courses. No one else can compare. We also have a direct line of communication with subscribers in our Discord, so you can get connected immediately to some of the best players in the game who will respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month, if you're serious about improving, that is. So that's going to be it for today. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.